Hello and welcome to the webcast. Today we're making our match week 8 predictions. We've got an insane weekend of games. I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. Let's go! What's up, guys? I'm Jacob. Adam's out today, but we carry on. We've got an insane weekend of games, like I said. First up in the early game, we have Tottenham going to Luton Town. The game's at Kenilworth Road. Tottenham is one of two remaining undefeated teams, obviously coming off of that controversial win against Liverpool last weekend. Son and Maddison seem like they are carrying a bit of injuries. We'll see if they stay fit. I think if they do, you got to pick them to win against the newly promoted Luton Town. Luton Town, obviously coming off that short week, they'll feel like they could have secured a point against Burnley, scoring that late goal to tie it up, but then obviously Burnley scoring right after that. I have to pick Tottenham, though. They're just too good right now. Next up, we have Sheffield against Fulham. Sheffield just 1 point in their first 7 matches. Their 19 goals against are the worst in the Premier League. Granted, 8 of them were against Newcastle. They still just look so dreadful defensively, especially against set pieces. I feel like against West Ham, they really tidied that up and tried. They knew that was a pain point, getting scored on twice, I think, against Newcastle from set pieces. And they were able to disallow Ward-Prowse from getting an assist off any of his awesome set pieces. But still, West Ham just easily scoring 2 against them. Their captain, John Egan, came off injured against West Ham. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Sheffield's just in a really bad spot right now. However, Fulham is another team that's just struggling for goals. Without Mitrovic, they're really just struggling to find goals. They're tied with Sheffield for the lowest goals amount in the Premier League this season. I think this is a really low-scoring game, but I got Fulham 1-0. Next up, we have Chelsea going to Burnley. Now, as a Manchester City fan, I really want to see Kompany do well and pick up points where he can. I think this is a really tough game to call, especially with Burnley being at home. I think, however, Chelsea is starting to kind of figure out, Pochettino with a new set of players. I feel like he knows what kind of formation he wants to play. Obviously going with the 4-2-3-1 last weekend. I think Caicedo is warming into his new role at Chelsea. I think Cucurella looked pretty good on the right side. I think it might have been a good idea to not start Sterling. We'll see if he starts this weekend. But I think Chelsea go on a little run here and win this one. Next up, we have 2 vastly underperforming teams. Manchester United take on Brentford at Old Trafford. United coming off that super deflating Champions League game midweek against Galatasaray. Casemiro getting that red card, trying to make amends for Onana's huge mistake. Onana has looked so bad in Europe. The one bright spot for United is Højlund actually looks very, very good. He obviously with the brace midweek. Man, that Rashford assist just right on his head as a striker. What else could you ask for? And then Højlund going on to secure the brace with an awesome solo goal, little dink over the keeper. He looks really, really good. I don't think people realize how fast this guy is. And Rashford and Bruno Fernandes have been playing very well despite United's bad start to the season. But Brentford is sneakily having just a horrible season. Their only win came against a 10-man Fulham. I think Thomas Frank has really got to be nervous about his position right now. They allowed Everton to get their only win of the season. I think United, in a time of desperation at Old Trafford, they have to win this. I'm picking United. Next up, we have Bournemouth taking on Everton at Goodison Park. Everton finally getting their first win of the season against Brentford, like I just said a couple weeks ago. And you think that they have it figured out. Calvert-Lewin's finally fit. Decore is looking good in midfield. And then they go and they lose against Luton Town this past weekend. Despite that loss, they had 68% possession in the game. They had 5 shots on target. Luton only had 2 shots on target. They just happened to score both of them. I think Everton played a decent game. They just kind of got unlucky against Luton Town. I think they are starting to figure it out. I think Dyche will be happy with where they're going. I think they need to win this game, though. Bournemouth, no win in their previous 5 games. They're sitting 19th on the table. They've had a very hard schedule, so I think 19th is a little bit harsh for them. But they are struggling for goals, only 1 in the last 3 Premier League games. I think Decore is looking super strong in the midfield, and I think Everton take this. Nottingham Forest take on Crystal Palace. Palace, always a tough place to go and play. I think this one just has draw written all over it, though. Palace losing Eze to a hamstring injury. Eze, their number 10, is kind of their replacement for Wilfried Zaha. He's one of those players that when they can't get anything going offensively, he can just light a spark and get them going. I think they will really miss him, and I think that they will struggle to score against Nottingham Forest. I'm going 1-1 draw for this one. Next up, we have Liverpool taking on Brighton, which is honestly maybe the match of the weekend, despite the huge one coming up that we'll talk about in a second. I'm so excited to watch this game. The World Cup winner, McAllister, returns to the Amex. Both teams looking to rebound after taking super tough losses for different reasons last week. Brighton got thrashed by Villa. Despite playing a pretty good game, they held the ball really well. They created chances. Just everything fell for Villa. Watkins could do no wrong in that game with the hat trick. I think Brighton will feel like the scoreline didn't really match with how they played and will be looking to rebound from that. Liverpool, obviously, with the hugely controversial game against Tottenham. Klopp asking for the game to get replayed, which is just madness. The Curtis Jones red card was absolutely a red card. I don't care if he wasn't intending to hurt Basuma. He still had studs up, and when you almost break a guy's leg, you're going to get red carded. I don't care if you meant to do it. Your foot slips off the ball. I obviously feel bad for Curtis Jones. Again, he didn't really mean to do it, but that's a red card every day. Diego Jota's disallowed goal was absolutely appalling. I can't believe the VAR allowed that to happen. Those VAR officials should just be banned from the Premier League. I think they are banned from the rest of the Liverpool games, but they should just be banned from the Premier League. I don't know how you don't see that Jota's obviously onside. The Jota red card, the first yellow he got was a little bit questionable from a refereeing standpoint, but once you're on a yellow, he shouldn't be getting a second yellow. Super interesting game. I think I'm going to go draw for this one. It might be a cop-out, but I'm going to go draw with Brighton at home. Next up, we have Newcastle versus West Ham. Man, all these Sunday games are just amazing. I can't wait to watch every single one of them. Newcastle might be on the hottest streak in Europe right now. That win against PSG midweek was awesome to see. St. James Park just looked like so much fun to be in. All the fans were singing. What a great result for Newcastle. West Ham, however, also having a very good start to the season. They also won in their Europa League game midweek. I think Bowen, Paqueta, and Ward-Prowse are a great midfield. Despite losing Declan Rice, they still have a super strong midfield. But West Ham has been struggling against the top teams. They're winning the games that you would expect them to win, but against the top teams, they're kind of struggling, and I think they're going to struggle against Newcastle. Newcastle has 11 unique goal scorers across all competitions, with a Premier League high 18 goals for the season. They're just flying right now. I have to go Newcastle. Aston Villa taking on Wolves. Wolves obviously coming off that massive win against City that no one predicted. Is Pedro Neto the best player in the Premier League? Every week he seems to do something amazing. I predicted him to do a bit of magic against City and score a goal. I didn't think that they were going to go on and win the game. But yeah, Neto looks absolutely unstoppable. Aston Villa, though, have won their last 3 Premier League games. Ollie Watkins is on fire. John McGinn's looking awesome. They might have the best manager in the Premier League right now. Unai Emery knows exactly how to work with the players that he has. I have to pick Villa for this one, despite Wolves' great performance last weekend against the top team in the league. And last up, we have objectively the best game of the weekend and probably the most anticipated game of the Premier League season thus far. Manchester City traveled to Emirates. Obviously, with Rodri being out, Arsenal needs to win this game, especially with being at home. Arteta has struggled a lot against Pep. Pep winning 8 out of 10 games against him. And City coming off of that bad loss, they'll be looking to rebound. I think Nunez will get the start again, and he looked bad at Wolves, obviously forcing a move away from them. The fans, I think, got on his head. He got subbed off at halftime. Arsenal losing midweek to Lens was a horrible result, and I think they were kind of looking ahead for the weekend. Klopp didn't want to risk Saka getting injured. I think that he will play because of that decision, but they lost the game to Lens, so it will be looked back as a questionable one. This is a hard game to call. I could see it going any which way. I'm going to go Manchester City. I think Nunez has a really strong game, and I think the best team in the league wins this one. That's our Match Week 8 predictions. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.